Okay, so I have my hoop warped with my 2 number 8s on the sides, and then my weave on it. And you notice it's a little hairy, but that's all right. We can cut those off and burn them off later. All right, so here's my tail underneath there, and here's my finished tail over here, just tight. And what we're going to do is we're going to start doing that embellishment. So I use tie-dye blue reed for this, just because it makes it a little showier. So one of the things that you want to do after you get it wet is kind of run it through a rag. And what that does is it gets the excess dye off, so it doesn't come off on that white. The other thing is you should really spray this a little bit. Not so it's sopping, but just so it's moist. And, you know, take a look at this reed and see where the pretty part is that you want to use. Because it's tie-dyed, which means it's, you know, kind of variegated dye. So I'm going to start that underneath here. And then this is just a 2-2-12. Usually what I do is measure it. So I'm not messing with all that. Cut it off. And then come back here and work it over 2, under 2. Over 2, under 2. And because I've sprayed that now, I don't have to worry about this warp busting on me. Hopefully. So if you use your Weave Right tool, just to lift that up a little bit. Now we're going to try to put quite a few pieces in here, so you really want to bring that over as tight as you can. So over 2, under 2. And you see I'm starting to get that light in there. So then my next row will be over by 1 to the right. Now this zigzags so that it'll go to the right for 4, and then it'll go back to the left for 3, and to the right for 3 again, I think. Or however many you can fit in here. And the last one is tight. There's no getting around it, but it makes the handle look really awesome. I'm just going to do 2 rows here to show you how this works. That's how it squeaks out in pain. That's what you want. Reed that squeaks out in pain. That means that you are pulling it tight. And the reed's wet, so it's not going to bust. Get down here to the end, and then this guy that's just kind of hanging out, we can get rid of him. Okay. So when I get down here, you see that I've got 3 left, but I'm still going to do over 2, and then whatever's left there is left. And all I need is just tuck that down a little bit, so I'll trim this up. Over 2, and even though that's 1, it's not a big deal. So that's how it gets tucked in there. Okay, so that's 1 down. And we're going to do the next piece. Remember that you want the smooth side up, the rough side down, so it doesn't show. And you're going to start this by going 1 over. So what does that mean? You can see that I've got over 2 here, under 2. And I want to start this by separating that over 2. Or you can say that you are stepping over by 1. Stepping over by 1. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? But actually it does. So here's that 2. You've just split the middle of that, and you're going to start over this one. that one has in common and a new one here. Okay, so once again, I'm going to measure it kind of roughly. So let's look at that again. Here's the secret to a 2-2-12. You go step over by 1, which means here's your bottom 2. You're going to use the stake to the right if you're going to the right, and a new stake. So one of these from the original one down here is going to have an over, but not both, depending on which way you're going. If we were going to the left, it would be this one and a new one, but we're going to the right, so it's this one and a new one. Okay, I'm keeping that down there tight, over 2, under 2. Okay, and you can see how that's starting to step up. Remember, you're going to do this for about 4 rows. And then you're going to go to the left for 3, and to the right for 3. And I think that's about all the rows you can get in there. Now, one thing I will tell you, when you're doing that last row, and it's really tight, what you need to do is go back through here and tighten all these down before you start it. So you get a little bit more extra room, and when you're trying to pull that through there, you can take round nose pliers or any kind of pliers and just get a piece of it and pull it through. You don't really have to do that when you're working, you know, in your first like 5 or 6, but that last row can sometimes be a bear. So that's a trick to make it happen. But before you put that last row, and remember, go back through and walk each one of these up and get it as tight as you can, and then start the last row. And like I said, if you are having trouble getting it through that, the weave right, you can't get that weave right tool underneath there enough, then just take your needle nose pliers and you can grab the tip of it. Now that'll shred it a little bit, so you want to make sure that you have it a little bit longer than normal, so you got enough length on that to cut the shred off, basically, when you get done at the end. Okay, and I'm almost to the end here, and like I said, I'll keep doing this until the whole thing is covered. And now this time, see, I've got over 2. And I'm just going to tuck that down in there. Okay, so that's how she looks.